Do you want more? More time, more balance, more love, more sex, more money, more real, and less bullshit? This is the Women Wanting More podcast with Dr. Karen Osborne. Real life, real stories, plus real tips to get you more of what you want.
So I'm going to share with you something today on the podcast, sister, that is brand new. That I, quite honestly, almost feel a little bit uncomfortable sharing, but, here we go. I'm going to do it. So today, my husband and I went to marriage counseling. Now, it's not because our marriage is in massive trouble. It's because we feel that it's at a place where the fights, the discussions that we're having, they get stuck. We feel like there's things that could be way better. We know that we're really fucking good together. But the last couple of months have been some challenges, and there's been some issues that are coming up and not really getting resolved. And, I've known people that have gone to counseling for different reasons. I mean, one, when the marriage is like really in trouble, right? I kind of take a look at it this way. It's like, you can wait until your health had just like the bottom falls out, right? And people, then they suddenly react. They're massively overweight. The doctor's saying, hey, if you don't freaking lose weight, like, here comes diabetes, here comes early death, like, get your shit together, right? And sometimes that can be the wake-up call for some people to do something. Others not. They just kind of keep numbing and go out their way. Marriage is no different. Some, it's like their husband, their wife is now threatening divorce. And like, oh shit, I guess we better do something. We got to figure this shit out. For Ed and I, it's not at a point of crisis. It's just at a point where we feel like there's just a lot of stuff, a lot of patterns that seem to be kind of getting repeated, or conversations or stuff that we trigger each other. And we're like, I just want some outside perspective. Like, I know that we can get through this. There's never an issue in our mind of divorce. Like, it's like, I'm in this. And for some of you, even this conversation might be a little shocking if you've been following me for a while, because it's like, wait a second, but I thought you guys were like, and and people see us and they go like, power couple, and yeah, that's all fucking true, man. But you need to also understand that, like, marriage is fucking hard. There's a lot of shit that comes up. We're all dealing with our own shit in life, right? And then you bring your shit into, it's not a good thing. You bring your shit into someone else's shit, and now you're both dealing with your own shit and somebody else's shit. Now, when you add on the piece of parenting, well, you might as well just have like 100x that. And then if you also add on the piece of that you are an entrepreneur and you either are in separate businesses or you do work together, it's like, you just 100x it right there. And then if you also commit to living a life of truth and honesty and calling each other out and holding each other accountable and knowing that marriage can be this beautiful piece that makes you become better, that stretches you to places that you didn't think were possible, and also brings you to depths of connection, love that you didn't think were possible, well, then you're not going to fucking, shit's going to come up. You're going to want to deal with it. You're going to want to work through it. There's no numbing and hiding. And the moment that one or the other or both of you start to go there, you acknowledge it and you see what's going on. You're like, this is not fucking cool. And so Ed and I for a session with an incredible therapist today. His name is Daniel. From the first time his first F-bomb he dropped in about 3 minutes, I was already in love with him. It wasn't just that. He just really fucking got it. Very intuitive. I was actually inspired by, Garrett J. White from Wake Up Warrior, really the man who 3 years ago, the beginning of being introduced to Garrett, just completely transformed my life. It's a reason for this podcast. It's a reason for the transformation in our marriage, like all of it. Now, of course, we did the work, but it was the beginning of this message of having it all and understanding what that looks like and being able to, being willing to invest in those areas of your life that aren't just business or aren't just your body or health, but like your marriage and your children and like why this matters and spirituality. And that, it's possible to have it all. It's not easy, but it's possible. And so him and his wife, Danielle, have a podcast out, which is called Date Your Wife. And it was one of their conversations that they've gone to, like, they were talking about divorce, like it was coming kind of thing. And how they really turned that all around. And they talked about going to therapy when there was still just a lot of shit that was coming up for them, like a lot of shit. And how they did almost like like a marathon. So like they did a couple hours of therapy, like every week, a couple different therapists, and almost like an intensive, right? And how they just had such incredible breakthroughs after 8 weeks. And at the end of the podcast, it was almost just kind of like, hey, you know what? Like, we encourage everyone to go through therapy together. Whether you're at a point of crisis, you just want to go from good to great, or from where you are to even better. Like, marriage just, you know, the therapy just really helps when you find that. I think you find the right person. I'm just like so thankful that we found the right person. Although I'll tell you what, when I went to do it, I mean, I can think of times where our marriage wasn't great, where I've been like, oh shit, like this is like, things aren't good in our marriage. Just like several years ago, I'm like, you know, saying to Ed, being like, we're gonna go to counseling, like that kind of thing, right? Like almost like a threatening tone to it. But actually Googling marriage therapist in Victoria, where I live, kind of felt like, oh shit, are we okay? Like, we're okay, but you know, it's a stigma about therapy, right? Especially when it comes to marriage therapy or marriage counseling. So it pulls up this link, which is so funny. Our therapist, Danielson, like, he's like, I don't even know how I got on that list, but apparently I'm on this list, where he's like, I've always just gotten, you know, clients have always come in through referrals. Now I'm getting people just come in from like Googling me. He's like, it's crazy. So I see it pulls up these 3 therapists. When I think I typed in I'd like best marriage therapist in Victoria. So his links come up, and it's these 2 women. One's a really younger woman. One's probably a woman in her 50s or 60s, probably say 60s. And then there's Daniel. And in my mind, I already had said, I'm like, it's going to be a woman. And then I see this dude, and there was something I'm like, let me just take a look. So I click on the link, brings it to his website. I start looking at his stuff. Maybe after 2 minutes, I'm like, yeah, this is the guy. So listening to the voice. You've heard me say this a million times, but listen to the voice. It brought us to Daniel. So, yeah, you know, being able to have an outside person that's not connected to you in any other way. That within 10 minutes, like, he nailed us, who we are. Within 10 minutes, he said a couple things to us. And one thing that was really stood out to me was this, and it was like, he goes, you know, you guys are a very unique couple. You both have very strong masculine, very strong feminine energies. Like, that's really like, there's presence about you both, which I know this about us. I know this about my husband and I. I'm like so thankful of this. And it's not just something that we have this like chemistry together. I think there's a piece of that too. But after 25 years, man, like, you know, it's work to keep that chemistry going. Like, it doesn't just happen. Like, it's like you have a certain eye color and it's your eye color the rest of your life. Like, no, it's a lot of work to continue that, to create that connection, that bond, and that intimacy. But yet, after just like one 1-hour session today, and we're going to start seeing him every single week, it was just like such perspective. And, you know, in a safe place. Isn't it so easy to get into patterns with your husband, or if you're a man listening, with your wife, and you kind of go like, well, you always and you never, and you almost can see like things slowly unraveling, where you're each going back to places that you've been before, where you felt like you've moved past this, but yet it's almost like you've taken these 10 steps back. And you find yourself saying these things that you used to say, and you feel like you're probably a little bit more evolved and moved past those things, but yet you're acting like a fucking child and saying insane shit or doing insane shit. And it is easy to be in that place with somebody else, safe place, calm place. As much as I'm very open to Ed about a lot of things and say a lot of things, there's probably still a lot that I'm like, I don't really know if this is going to trigger him. Maybe I should just sugarcoat this one a bit, right? And there's times I don't do that. But having somebody else that can see, again, who's not like a girlfriend, it's not like someone's like, oh my God, your man is doing this, you need to tell him to do this, and like, it's none of that shit, right? Or dudes that'll say like, what the fuck is wrong with your wife? She's such a bitch. Why won't she let you come out to do the dudes weekend? All this, like, it's none of that shit. Someone who is in it for both of you, right? They're not connected to you. They're not family. They're not friends. They're not random people on Facebook. And it's someone that, you know, you will really have to find. So I know, I'll tell you right now, 90% of you that reach out to me because of stuff that's happening with relationship and marriage. Whether it's things like we're not even intimate anymore, we don't have sex anymore, you've had affairs, he's had an affair, you've talked about divorce, going through divorce, you're disconnected, one or both of you are numbing in various different ways, drugs, alcohol, other people's bedrooms, porn, food, shopping, Facebook. Marriage can be the biggest gift in your life. And I'm gonna say this right now. I think marriage, in some respects, is actually harder than parenting. I think marriage is harder than parenting. Now, parenting is hard as shit. If you're a mother or father, you know this. It's like, holy shit, and the job never stops, right? Like, it is forever, right? You could say, well, you could always opt to have a marriage, but listen, if you really are all in for your marriage, you want to invest in this, if you think that it is only your partner's fault, you're going to keep repeating the same shit with the next partners. I've seen this in people that go on their second marriages, and they're like knocking at the divorce door again. Is it really that partner again? It's possible, I guess, you're picking the same kind of partner, but maybe it's fucking you. Maybe you need to get your shit figured out. And when you get your shit figured out, you remember who you are, then maybe you will start to understand that fighting for your marriage is important. Not against, for. You fight for it. Because it fucking matters. Listen, I can think of times in our marriage when things were really difficult. One or both of us could have tapped out at any time, before or after kids. I see it all the time, right? What's the divorce rates now? 50%, 60%? It's like, but it's not working. Psh, I'm out. We literally went into this marriage together, and it was 7.5 years before we got married. Not because we were wondering if we should be married. We just kept doing it's not the right time, and now we're in school, and now we don't have money. We're in school, and we're like, we're broke-ass students, but who the fuck cares? We love each other. This matters to us. Let's get married, and we did. Your marriage could be the most significant transformation. The reason I speak about this so passionately and so transparently is that my marriage has been the biggest transformation in my life over the last couple of years. It's also been one of the most difficult things. And I would say it's actually been above parenting. Because, there's some parts of it where you go with parenting, you're like, the kids are going through stages, or, they're trying their best, or, they can't understand stuff. It's my job to kind of help them manage their big emotions and stuff. When it's another fucking adult, or it's your partner, you're just like, dude, you should fucking have your shit together. Like, it's not the same. We don't necessarily go in with the same amount of empathy and understanding. We go, grown-ass man, grown-ass woman, what the fuck? I've told you this. Yeah, I maybe have told my kids the same thing 10 times, but, they're 4, they're 7, or they're 12, or, it's like you're going to give them a bit of a mulligan because of their children. We don't often have the same empathy when it comes to our partners. And maybe that's rightfully so. Listen, there's no judgment about it. There's no right or wrong about it. It just kind of is. There's a different energy with it. Marriage, harder than parenting. Maybe that's going to be the title of this podcast episode. There you go. We're going to go there. And so what's my more tip for today? Jesus, I don't fucking know. So many times I do these podcasts, and it's just, listen, you need to know when I do these podcast episodes, I literally have a topic and I start talking. And you can hear I'm doing this as I'm driving. I just got to my son's school. The phone is kind of in by my side, next to me as I'm driving, and I'm talking and recording this podcast and sharing with you. So I don't have it scheduled out, here's going to be more tip. Here's what I'm going to talk about. I'm going to say this then, and then that. Because I really want this to be a conversation. I want this to be real. It's not fucking choreographed and rehearsed. Life is not that way. You can try to make it that way, but that's not really the way life goes. So what is your more tip for today? Here's what it is. I want you to open up your journal, and for 10 minutes, I want you to write at the top of your page, my marriage matters because, and start writing. I know you might be at a point where it's like, you're knocking on the door of divorce, right? Where there's been some awful shit that's gone down. Where you just feel like you don't even know who you are anymore. You feel lost. You feel confused. You feel like you don't know who your partner is anymore. Like, I hear that, sister. I see you. I see you. But I also want you to know that fighting for your marriage might be one of the most important things that you ever do. And I'm going to say this right now. This might not be so PC, but if you have children, it matters even more. What are they seeing, what are they seeing you do? That you give up? That if things don't work out, that you just kind of like toss it aside? I'm not saying that divorce is never an option. That it's never something that, is on the table. There are some instances where couples should not be together. Like, I understand that. But I think there's a lot of you that end up tapping out way before you fucking should. So journal this. My marriage matters because. And accept that marriage, yes, is harder than parenting. I never would have said this before. It literally came to me as I'm recording this podcast. Like, marriage is harder than parenting. It is. And it's also the most beautiful, intimate connections you can ever make with another human being in your life. And if you're at a point in your marriage where you're like, dude, I don't even know what you're fucking talking about. That's not my marriage. I understand, because I was there before too. Like, I was married to my best friend and my roommate, not my lover. It's all different now. And it can be for you too. So here's what I want you to do. One thing I'm having you do at the end of the most recent podcast is to subscribe to the newsletter. Listen, there are so many amazing things that I am dropping in 2018. I'm planning out a very big event that's coming up in the summer. You're going to have information about it soon, but those that are in the newsletter are going to hear about it first, and there'll be early bird tickets and VIPs. Like, this is going to be an amazing experience for those of you that want to come out to a live event, but you're not ready, or you don't have the financial investment and the time investment to come out for the 3-day deep dive experience of the evolution. So those that are part of the Women Wanting More newsletter and tribe are going to hear about this first. Not to mention, you'll get discounts for being on the newsletter for different things like this. I have some other stuff too that I really want to share with you, but I can't yet because it is a secret under wraps. But new programs, new ways to really interact with Women Wanting More community and tribe. So you need to right now head over to drkarenosborne.com and enter in your email when you see the picture of me. And I will get you started up on that today. In addition, I'm going to send you some very, very exciting training videos that I created in the Experience Facebook group that'll help you really understand who you are. You got to understand this piece of this if you want to be able to really get the most out of your marriage. You got to be clear on who you are first. Remember who you are, sister. So that's over at drkaren.com, drkarenosborn.com. So I will talk to you in the next episode, sister. A life of more is just one step away from you doing the fucking work every single day. I love and appreciate you.
To get the show notes of each Women Wanting More episode, including the How to Get More tip, subscribe to the newsletter at drkarenosborn.com/newsletter.